Now that we've got our navigation and our heading section in place, we're going to move on to making this main image that we defined in our plan. It's going to be a full screen image. It's going to go 100% of the vertical height of the window that we have open, and it's going to be fixed in position. So when we scroll our page down, the image itself won't move. So to achieve this, we're going to use a couple of new CSS properties. We're going to use a property called background image, and in the URL property of that we specify the path of the image. So just like we would in our HTML when we're looking to put images into our website, we can do the same thing here. We also are going to use the background attachment rule to change that property to fixed, and that's what will keep that image in place as we scroll. Now to start with, I already set up some photos in my folder. This is my website folder here. I have my index and my styles page, and notice I made two different folders for my images this time. One I've called original images, and the other one is thumbs, and that's where I'm going to put the thumbnails. So thumbnails are just the slightly smaller low res images that you might have loading up on the front page of your website, and then if you click on those you might want to link through to a full res image. So we've separated them out here, and if I look in my original images folder, you can see I've got all of them and they've been named with appropriate and meaningful names. This is really important so that when we go to our HTML and CSS, we know which images it is that we're inserting. Okay, so let's get started with this. It's actually not too complicated, and probably the most complicated part of this website we've already done already, which was the navigation section up the top. But we are going to look at using section tags in our HTML, which is a type of semantic HTML tag which describes the content that's within it. So section makes sense, we're creating a new section on our website, so that's the tag we're going to use. And we have briefly looked at classes before, and I'm going to add a class name in here, mainly because we're going to use a lot of these section tags and we need to be able to identify each one of them separately, so which one is which. And the class name I'm going to give this one is hero image. And the idea of using the word hero is just a convention. You don't have to do that, but lots of websites now are defining their main big image as a hero image, or maybe you have some hero text, something like that, so it's quite common to see this kind of class name being used. Now, at the moment I'm not going to put anything else in that HTML section. Later on we might look at putting some text in there. You might even want to put some text that would go in the middle of your page here, potentially, and we can look at how you could do that, but for now we're going to leave it empty. So we're going to focus mainly on the CSS section. Now because we've made that class with hero image as the name, we go over to CSS, and I'll go down to the bottom and I'll make a new rule for that hero class. So I can do that by using the full stop and then typing in the name of that class, which was hero img. And then just like we looked at the start, the first property that we're going to need to put in there is the background image. And now if I go down to URL here, and I've got all of my images in the original images. In this case I want to use the full resolution one, so I'll go into there, and I've called one of them hero. So if I hover my mouse over there, you can see this is the image that we want to appear on our page. Again, don't forget the semicolon at the end, and now if we go back to our live preview, you can see nothing has happened just yet. There's a few things we need to change to make sure that shows up. So most importantly, we're going to set the height of it, and note it's not background height, it's just the height, to 100 VH. And what VH does is it sets it to 100% of the viewport height. So this area in the middle of our website here, or middle of our web browser rather, that's our viewport. And if we're looking at this image on a mobile device, the screen size would be your viewport. So we've set the image to 100% of the viewport height. Now you can see at the moment it's way too big, so we aren't seeing the whole image, so we need to put in a few more properties to fix that up. So I'm going to set the background position to center. That centers everything in the viewport there, but you can still see that it's too big. We've cut off the bottom part of that image, and so we need to put in another property, and that's background size. And this time I'm going to use cover. So what that means is it will cover that whole viewport that we have at the moment. So now we have that pretty much in place. If we go back to our live preview, you can see with half the screen set to the web browser, we can still see the whole image. If we make that full screen, we see the whole image as well, and you can resize that and play around with it. Of course, at some different resolutions you'll get slightly different parts of the image there, and that's because we're not adjusting the ratio or the proportion of the height and width of the image, so you'll get some cropping happening, but overall it's looking pretty good. So that's it for getting the big image in place. You can't see at the moment that this is fixed because we don't have any more content to scroll down to. And let's have one last look at the main properties that we had to use to make that happen. So we've got our class name starting with the full stop, and then we've got our background image. The URL is specified. We've set the height to the height of the viewport, and we've set the position in the middle and the size so that it covers the screen. So if you follow those steps, you should be able to get a nice big image in the background of your website.